Hi, my name is David Partika, and I created CSS Burner as a rapid optimization tool for CSS. Now today I'd like to show you about a common type of optimization opportunity within many style sheets that I've encountered. It comes up a lot, and to demonstrate this opportunity to optimize, I'm going to let you look at this block of CSS that we see in the text area right now, so I'll even highlight it here, and just take a moment to imagine how you could condense this CSS to actually a much smaller size, number of bytes than it is. So right now we see that the character count is 149. Of course, minified, it would be a little bit smaller than that, but all right. Now let's scan this CSS and see exactly what could have been optimized. We have to make sure in doing so that we have the optimize CSS checkbox when we're scanning. So let's do so. Now let's scan. And what we see is that there are 3 declaration blocks, one of which has an identical block content, this display none. And so we look up a little higher and we see that in fact there is a p tag or a paragraph that also under the media conditions here had display none. And so we see that this is content that could have been condensed by grouping. Now what you should keep in mind is that, and the whole point of this optimization video is that you can't condense by grouping. You can't condense everything that's present here. And the reason is because we look at the first declaration, which is for the div, and you notice that it's also display none. However, this is within the global scope, whereas the display nones in the @media rule are not within the global scope and only are applicable when you're using a medium that has a minimum width of 800 pixels. So in other words, if you're using some kind of media that is less than 800 pixels in its display, let's say you're using a very narrow tablet, these rules will not be applicable, but the first one, the div display none, will still be applicable. So the point here is that you have to be able to recognize the scope of the rules that you're trying to group before you go ahead and group those rules. And again, here you could group within the @media rule, but not the div that's in the global scope. And so let's go ahead and reset this. So there's the CSS again, and let's minify this. And what you're going to see is that when this is minified, and again, the output is going to be somewhat a little hard to follow, but you'll see it. When you see the minified output, you're going to see that the P and the dot class have been comma grouped and condensed together within the @media rule, but the div display none will be left alone. So let's go ahead and minify. Just to demonstrate this, we'll just select every option. So, and we want to output to the screen. Okay. And so now, just looking here, you see that in fact P and display none, P and dot class have been grouped. And so just to make it even more obvious, let's go ahead, select all, and copy it. Now let's reset. Let's beautify this. Sorry, let's first copy. Now let's beautify this so just so that you can see that in fact the P and the dot class have been condensed within the scope of the @media rule. But the div display none has not been condensed. By condensed, I mean grouped by comma. It has not been grouped together because, again, it's in the global scope. So that's the point here. And when optimizing, the scope has to be accounted for when doing things such as grouping, or if you see identical selectors and you want to, say, combine the declarations within, the scope must be considered. So if you found this to be a helpful video and something that you could apply to your own style sheets, please give this video a thumbs up. If you have not already done so, it would help me if you could subscribe to the Optimized CSS channel and look for some more of these helpful videos in the not so distant future.